This is the Everyday Hustle Show, where our number one priority is self-development.
Each week, we will dive into insightful topics that encourage you to push your thinking beyond average.
Smash that subscribe button and tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m. Welcome everyone to another edition of the Everyday Hustle Show. This is the 66th?
No, dude.
This is the 66th.
That's pretty
The
evil.
66th recorded episode. Coming to you pre-recorded from Lake Worth, Florida. Yeah. Of course, we got the usual suspects. We got Christian. How you feeling?
Feeling
How's
great,
your week?
phenomenal.
What's happening?
Just had Chick-fil-A, so I'm feeling good.
Oh.
And some fresh brewed coffee.
Chick-fil-A and coffee. All right, Jesse. We got Jesse over here. What's happening with you, Jess?
I'm like a 90-year-old woman who just got 35 years shaved off her life. I am freaking feeling great right now.
That still makes you a senior citizen, though.
Yeah, but if I was 90 and I'm now 35 years younger, I would like to say that I am freaking dancing up and down the freaking walls of the house.
All right, and then we got special guests on the line. If you guys listened to the episode last week, you know that we were bringing on Jason from Tattered Beans. Jason, how you feeling tonight?
Hey, I'm feeling great. I'm above ground, so life is good.
Right
Hell
on.
yeah,
First
brother.
off, just want to say thank you for taking the time out to talk with us about your journey and your company and everything you've done so far. It's really awesome. You know, you said your right-hand girl, or she's one of your employees, or who reached out to us?
She's like the GM of all the companies. So basically it's me, then her, and then things that I say then trickle down to the other GMs or partners within the other companies that I have.
Perfect. So shout out to her too. She's got great work ethic, very fast response time. She's awesome in communicating and setting up everything and helping us get this set up. So, thank you for taking the time out.
Yeah, Amanda's pretty special.
It's hard to find good help, you know?
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
but she says we do cool stuff, so that's why she stays around.
That's it. If you're having fun, then you're in a good spot. If you ain't having fun doing, what you're doing for work, got to find something else.
That is
so just a little bit, actually, Christian, do you want to introduce him and go into the bio a little bit?
Yeah. So just to go briefly, we're going to kind of go more grand into the, grand spectrum of things, but just to kind of go into a little bit of your bio. So you are from Williamsport, PA, right?
Yep, from a little town called Du Bois Town.
Okay.
Which is a subset of South Williamsport, where the Little League World Series is played.
I'm from an hour, I can't get my cardinal directions right. An hour south of there?
Where are you at?
Yeah.
What, Harris?
Outside of Harrisburg, like Lebanon, Bethel. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And my dad's got a cabin up there, so I've been through Williamsport quite a few freaking times.
Quite a few
brother.
time.
Hell
So
yeah.
from Williamsport, PA, at only the age of 14, you're help running a roofing crew. You played football in high school. You were very heavily involved in sports, and then you also went, I believe, after high school, you went into the Air Force Base in Great Falls, Montana. You were there for a while, and then you had an injury, I believe. Is that correct?
Correct. So went on to college, broke my ankle, came home, worked at the bar. My dad said, "You're going to do something a little bit more with your life." Got me in the military. Stationed in Great Falls, Montana, blew out my knee. I wanted to be a lifer, wasn't able to, and then got married. Met my wife out there. We'll be celebrating 25 years here shortly.
Oh, congrats.
Hey, thanks. And came back to Pennsylvania, moved back to Montana, came back to Pennsylvania, went back to school to Penn State. About, it was almost 2 years after that, we had our first child. And then that's when I was working for somebody else and said, the entrepreneur bug bit me. And I said, man, I can be doing more, man. Like I'm just, at that time. So that was 96.
Okay.
and I was making like $8.50 an hour, and that was good. I was the plant manager.
So you're running. You went through, like you said, you got the entrepreneur bug. You went through a few, helped run or helped start up a few companies, and then eventually got to where you're at now, which is Tattered Beans, and that is a veteran-owned company, as well as you guys give back to veterans, and we'll kind of get into that.
Yeah, we need to like pause the tape real quick and talk about the 14-year-old you running a roofing crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of skimmed over that one.
You sure it wasn't a roofing crew? Just kidding.
The dad jokes over here.
That was pretty good. You seriously want me to talk about it?
Yeah. I mean, so because the reason why I asked is because a lot of people think have this, thought that they were. You talked about the entrepreneurial bug, and that a lot of people, when they think back to their childhood, if they're in that entrepreneur space now, when they think back to their childhood, they can think of things that they did during their childhood that were like, wow, like, maybe I was born an entrepreneur. Like, I used to sell Pokemon cards in the front yard. Like, I would make signs, put them on the corner, like have my own yard sale. Like, people would be like, dude, you're having your own yard sale? I'm like, yeah, I'm just trying to sell some of my old stuff. I'm just like I was always trying to get money as a kid, I never told you that.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the roofing, the story that really hits home for me was our high school had 3 different levels of education. You could be general, which was most of the tech school kids, things like that. And then you could be business or academic. So I didn't know algebra. I didn't really apply myself at school. I was the daydreamer. I was a smart ass. And from there, so I was in the business. And so numbers always came pretty easy to me, accounting, things like that. I was always a good typer. Basically a lot of the girls were in business. So that worked good for me also. So from that standpoint, I excelled and just loved it. So we were given, you had to start your own little business our senior year. So we were really good at football that year. So, the little football helmets you get in the 25-cent machines?
Yeah.
Candy machines. So back then, all the cars, generally, if you remember, I don't know how old you guys are, but the hood ornaments back then was generally your antenna, and they screwed on the front of the car, and they generally stood up above the car. Like my parents had a Buick and my dad had a Ford, stuff like that. So what I did is I went and got Bolt, and I went to the local supplier and said, listen, I want to buy 100 helmets and white. And then so I stripped off the Colts all the white, the Miami Dolphin, those logos. And then I went and got little blue stickers and little blue S's and made a South Williamsport football helmet. And then I super glued on a 5/8" bolt, and then I would sell them. So all that stuff ran me like $1 or so. And I sold them for over 10, and I sold a lot. And then I would bolt them on the car, and then all the kids were running around with our little football helmets on their car.
Did the radio still work?
Yeah, some did, because the clip was right there.
And the bolt's still metal, and it conducts the signal, probably.
Yeah. It was still there. So, that was my first experience from that. I mean, I was always captain, team leader through the military. I mean, hell, in high school, I even organized a sit-in so that we could wear shorts, because generally, if my nickname was Jeaner in high school, so if Jeaner came and said, "Hey, we're going to do this," you generally listened. So I went to each lunch, and said, "Hey, go meet in the auditorium for 7th period." Because the school wouldn't let us wear shorts. That's when the kids, the girls could wear what are they called, skorts, whereas shorts and skirts are made into one.
Yeah, I remember those.
But the boys, so this was 89, 90, and so I'm up on stage, and like all the kids are there, and then the teachers thought it was a great idea, and then the vice principal, who couldn't stand me, comes, and he's like, all right, everyone, get back to class. And I'm like, no, everybody sit back down. And so everyone sat back down, and I said, listen, we just want to have a conversation that we want to be able to wear shorts. Like, I don't see what the problem is. And, of course, like, this isn't the forum. And I'm like, no, it is. And so we went back and forth. And so he's like, okay. So he goes, well, you guys can wear shorts. We'll get it all figured out. And so they take me back to the office, and I get 3 days in school suspension. But from that day forward, that little school can now wear shorts.
And where do you think that came from, though? Like that, did you always have that, the leadership qualities and skills, or did that come from somewhere?
I just saw, my mom and dad were, incredibly hard workers. So they instilled a super hard work ethic in us. Mm-hmm. My dad was a welder. And at that point in time, when I was growing up, the Duke plants were big. And if you guys are from Jersey, you guys got them all over. And so he was a welder. So they would work 7/12s a lot of times, and he'd be gone, months at a time. So I always, grew up appreciating how hard my dad worked. And we grew up lower middle class for sure. But he gave us what we could. And my mom worked in a underwear factory or different factories in Williamsport, at the time. So she was a single mom a lot of the times. My dad was there, on the weekends when he could come home, or if they, cut short or whatever. But as far as the leadership, at that point, man, I just always questioned, like, if someone told me to go right, I would ask why. Mm-hmm. Like, why are you telling me to go right? Like, give me a good reason, and I'll go right. But if I don't really trust you, I'm going to go left, and that was just me, and I just took that same mentality, wherever I went, and just always, I always liked being a leader. I didn't like being told by someone who maybe didn't take the job as serious, or didn't care for it as much as me, to tell me what to do, because it was like, well, you don't even care about it. I do. And right. I should be above you.
Right. And so what was the story about when you were 14 years old? How did that whole situation come about?
Well, I was dating a girlfriend at that time, and her dad owned a construction company. And he was building a home in South Williamsport up on the side of the mountain. And he had a guy who was basically, his, I guess, full-time worker. But he wouldn't always show up, or he wouldn't always show up sober and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So the girlfriend's dad was teaching me what to do on doing, putting up shingles. And I'm a very fast learner. I like to watch and I pick up, and, next thing you know, like, I'm riding my bike to the job site, and he's telling me what needs to be done for that day. And I'm telling the other worker that, well, this is what we got to do. And, so he's looking at me as a 14-year-old, and I'm laying out the roof and, getting everything going, and the roof gets done, and I'm in charge of it. So, I mean, it was just sort of comical, that, I was, I'm 14 years old, but I cared more about that job than the guy that was there, who was in his 30s, did. And I'm telling him what we need to do in order to get the job done and done right.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I want to go back to, so natural born leader, and I want to talk about that real quick, because with the podcast, these episodes are generally 30 minutes to an hour, so if someone's dedicating that amount of time to us or to you and listening to the podcast, I always want people to leave something on the table for the listener that they can apply into their life and hopefully get them closer to where they want to be, or a step, further than where they were yesterday. So leadership is a great topic. And I was in the juice bar yesterday or 2 days ago, and there was a guy, he had a BurgerFi shirt on. You guys got BurgerFi where you are?
No, hell no.
No? Okay. So it's like a burger, French fry chain. You got Five Guys?
Yes, Five Guys.
It's similar to that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little fancier. They got more options.
Definitely fancier.
Yeah, they got like veggie burgers and stuff like that too. But anyway, he's like, I'm the project manager. I just do whatever they tell me to do. And he's like, mainly what I do is I go from store to store to store, and I go to the ones that are like failing. They're doing bad. And I'm like, well, I was like, oh man. I was like, how can I get something out of this guy that I can apply into my business and, you know, and grow? And he's like, and I said, what's the I don't know how this came into my head, but it was such a fucking winning question. I said, what's the number one thing that you see when you go from store to store, the ones that are failing? Like, what's the number one trait or characteristic that you see? And he said, bad leadership.
Ooh.
Like right away, literally no hesitation whatsoever. He said, bad leadership. So I feel like leadership is a very, very important trait to have, especially if you're going to be in this quote unquote entrepreneurial, you know, space or journey in working for yourself. So what traits do you have as a good leader that have helped you excel in this entrepreneurial space, or, you know, just owning and operating your own company? Like, what are traits of a good leader? How do you keep your team motivated? Fill us in on that.
Well, the first thing I do is say please and thank you. Second thing I do is I never make an employee do something that I wouldn't do. So I remember there was a story, Amanda, because she was a GM at one cafe, and they were super busy, and I just happened to pop in that day. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I was all dressed. I was in suit and tie, and she was even using the kitchen staff to help, run food and that. And so, I saw how busy they were, and I just went back and, started doing dishes because they were piling up. And it was funny because I hadn't met some of the employees. And so these people were looking at me like, who in the hell is back there doing dishes? And
there's some guy in a suit back there cleaning up.
Right. And the man is like, oh, well, that's Jason. That's the owner, And so a lot of people, just couldn't believe that, I just stepped in and would do those type of things. But, that was instilled in the military. I never told someone to clean a bathroom if I wouldn't clean the shitter. You gotta be right in there, because you will never gain respect from people if you don't do those things. And I have a funny story. Well, it's not funny, but so in the military, when you're in basic training, they're called flights in the Air Force. So you can wash back to 2 flights. So it means that you're 2 flights ahead, but you fail something and you got to go to the next flight to try to pass it. And then you can go to the next one and try to pass it. And if you fail there, you fail out. So there was this guy, we would get a bunch of people that washed into our flight, and it was mostly because of the running. And so this one guy, this was his last chance. We were his last flight. And so if you look at pictures in the military running, it's always a short guy at the front and a tall guy at the back. Well, that's super hard for the tall guy because he's taking like a lot fewer steps and you're running at a certain pace. Oh, yeah. So I went to the flight and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. If he falls back, we all fall back as a group so that he doesn't fall out of line. And I said, we'll just all fail. I said, what are they going to do? Like freaking send us all back to another flight, And so he did. So we're running and he fell back a person and we slowed down. And at that point we all failed. And so, he ended up getting washed out anyways, but I ended up getting, I got yelled at right then and there because that's what they do in basic training. But then I ended up getting a reward for teamwork for, doing that, because, you were never supposed to leave, someone behind. Like you're supposed to be a team to help each other. But like I said, he still walked out because you still at the end of the day have to pass the test. So that teamwork has always been instilled with me. So when I come and I start a new company or something like that, I am very, very clear with every single person. I use the same line. I said, listen, I'm going to give you enough rope with me. And I said, you have 2 options. You can either hang yourself with it or you can pull yourself to the top of the mountain. I don't care which one you do. I said, if you pull yourself to the mountain and you're on this trip with me, then let's go. I said, but if you want to hang yourself and you don't want to work hard, I said, no hard feelings. I said, you just, there's the door. And it doesn't take them long to hang themselves. You can weed out the people that don't work hard or
in a few days probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, what I've been doing, it's strange because like a lot of people are like, "Oh, are you hiring? Are you hiring?" I'm like, "Look, this is like one of those things where you have to like be passionate about it." Because people have 1,000,001 questions, and I don't know if it's like that with coffee, but like in our space, because our menu is kind of big. You did cafes, so they have 1,000,001 questions, and if you don't know what you're talking about, and you don't have some kind of drive or passion behind you with how you speak to people and your conviction with words, then they're just going to be like, okay, their experience is going to be lame. And so I tell people like, look, if you want to work here, like come work for like a day or two, see if you even like it.
Right.
I'm not going to pay you or anything, but come see if you like it. You make some tips or whatever. Come see if you like it. If something excites you about the job and it's worth your time, because I've also learned that there's nothing like time is the most valuable currency that we have. So why are you going to work a job for months or even years and be unhappy and waste that time or that currency that you have?
Oh my gosh, for sure. You've got to know people. That leads me into another story. It's funny you say that because you have to believe in people. And one of my newest partners in businesses is a tattoo shop. And I had originally met her, Ashley, and this girl was like super eccentric. She's got all tatted. She looked like the perfect barista, really good work ethic. Intellectually, she's like off the chain. And she came from a cult, originally in California. She grew up that way.
A cult?
So, a cult, yeah. Or like a cult.
Oh, hell yeah.
Jesse likes that.
Oh yeah, she's like so next level. She's just amazing. But so I offer her a management position. I'm like, listen, this is perfect for you. Like, you'll make so much money and this and that, and So I said, think about it. I said, let me know. We're during construction. We're just getting going. So we're probably a month in, and I could just see her demeanor start to change. And she's like this free bird. And I'm just like, yeah, I love you to death, but you're fired.
Oh, no. She got back into the cult.
She's like, what? No, she didn't get back into the cult. No, she just, you got to be able, from a business owner, you have to know people.
Right.
And you have to be able to watch and know your employees on when they're down, what's going on, and watch their traits, And I watched her be so successful and love it to just, now showing up just as the door was open, or she wasn't putting things away, or, her mind just wasn't there anymore. And I said, you're fired. So a year and a half later, she goes and I said, you need to find yourself. And so we left on good terms. And then she came back to Pennsylvania and got in a little bit of trouble, sticking up for a friend. And I was her one phone call. So she believed in me enough that she used me as her one phone call, and my attorneys, helped her out. And then at that point, I took her out to lunch. I said, Ash, what do you want to do in life? Like, what is your passion? And she's like, I want to be a tattoo artist. I want to own my own shop. And 90 days later, we have the third largest tattoo shop in central Pennsylvania and in the state with 8 beds, and she's killing it. American Anvil Tattoo.
So did you help? Are you part owner of that company?
Yeah. So financially, I opened it for her.
Okay.
I call her my partner. She's a sweat equity partner. She puts in all the time and the effort, but it gave her a place and a chance to succeed. And because no one would give that to her. They. One, she was a female. 2, she didn't go through the traditional
education,
apprentice,
college, all that shit.
Yeah, and so, I was like, well, screw that, man. I'm like, you're a good artist. Like, I'm going to give you a chance. Like, let's just do a tattoo shop. And, like I said, 90 days later, she's sitting in a 2,000 square foot shop, and she is killing the game. You mark my word, she's the next Kat Von D.
That's
I'm
amazing.
telling you, she's pretty, smart, she's good, she loves the trade. You know, she puts in the time. I mean, that kid is going to do freaking amazing things. But the thing is that I just had the opportunity to believe in her, to give her a shot.
Right. There's a few different situations that I can think of in my life where the same exact thing happened with people. You know, in starting in business, you always have ideas, right? And then there's other things that come after the idea. You got to have the money and the business plan, all that stuff. And when you don't have a lot of financial backing, it becomes challenging to start a business or to do, whatever it is you want to do and try to make it on your own. So I think it's really admirable that you gave her that shot, and I think that it's something that more people need to do. It's just have faith in others, and just be kind in general. But I want to ask you, so let's talk about Tattered Beans, which is your newest business venture, which is how we got connected. Yep. And it's a veteran-owned and focused coffee company. So tell people about the company, how you got into the coffee industry, a little bit about your mission statement and what you guys do.
Well, we got into the coffee because of the original cafes that I had. And so we ended up co-packaging. We took a couple years to locate a co-packager that could, do the things that we asked, and they agreed. And so we had a very successful coffee company with the cafes, and we were really popular in the fundraising for them, because listen, I've been doing this 20 plus years. So, it's work smarter, not harder. So for me to start off with a brand new blend in central Pennsylvania, where, we're in Lancaster, County, where there's, a ton of boutique, type coffee companies and roasts, that I was like, well, I'm not going to compete with that way. What aren't people doing? And I'm like, oh, fundraising. Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll become, the coffee company that does all the fundraising. And we did, so I didn't have to compete with people, trying to sell my coffee retail, or, go out and, lower our price to get this cafe over here and lower our price over here to get this fire company or whatever, to buy our bulk stuff. I went a completely different path. And I think that goes back to my original thing, even back in high school. If I was told to go right, I always ask why, and I'll generally probably go left. And this was the same way. So then in September of 18, I was diagnosed with cancer. And at that point, just needed to, really focus on not only my health and family and this and that, but I said, we're going to close the cafes, and we're going to rebrand the coffee, because it's really good, into something brand new, and I want to make it veteran driven. So I sat down with Amanda again, because she's my right hand person. I said, get me all the numbers. Let's figure this out. Let's look at what we're only going to sell online at this point. And I said, we want to figure out what all the boutique coffee places are selling online. What are they selling their 12-ounce bags for? What are we currently selling for? And, so we figured out those numbers. I knew that there was a $4 difference. I said, we'll raise our coffee up to theirs. And I said, we'll give that profit to veterans. And how we're going to do that is we're going to get veterans on our website, and people can shop under those veterans. And from there, during checkout, the money will be divided, at the end of each month. And so if that veteran has, 100 people that bought coffee under him or her, then they would get a $400 check written to them.
Wow. So when you say do you guys have individual names when you check out, or is it?
Yep.
Oh, so you can specifically send it to someone, just directly to one person.
Yep. You can. Well, it's set up to where, maybe you guys don't know any veterans,
right?
And so, but maybe your dad or your mom were in the military, a Marine or Navy or Air Force or Coast Guard, Army. So what we did was we made the branches, general branches. So you love the mission, but you just don't know a vet. So you go and support the Army because your mom was in the Army.
Okay.
And so you click on the Army, but then your uncle, he was a Marine too. So you can also continue to shop under the Marines. So then what we do is when you check out and you buy 2 bags of coffee, we take that $8 and we divide it up to all the vets on our website who are in the Army and all the vets that are Marines. And we divide that money so that the vets that didn't have any sales that month, they get something.
Okay.
I love that. That's amazing. Tell people where they could buy your product. What's your website?
So the website where you'll shop at is tatteredbeans.com. And for veterans, active duty, or first responders, you'll sign up at submit.tatteredbeans.com.
Okay, and tattered is TATTERED, right?
Yes.
Okay, tatteredbeans.com. We'll put all that in the show notes in the show description. From somebody who runs a small business right now, like there's a million wheels turning in my head about this business model and how it all works, and it's freaking awesome. Do you like I don't know, the first thing that pops into my head is like, where do you get the beans? Is that like a legitimate question? You know?
No, because we're very honest. We're transparent on a couple different things. First, we say that, listen, we're a for-profit company. We charge $12 for a bag. $4 of that goes right to a vet. And we run the company on $1. And then the rest is in the cost, basically goes to the roaster or boxes or, packaging, things like that. So my entire soul, goes into watching overhead, making sure that we maximize as much profit to the veterans as possible. So that's the big thing, for us and how we work it. So again, we had such a great relationship with the old coffee brand with our roaster. When I pitched this idea to them, I was very honest and said, listen, we got to make sure that our cost is, watched very carefully because of how much we're giving back to the vets, and they've been incredible to work with. But again, that took years to find them, to build a good relationship with them. They're local. They've been around almost 200 years. So
they handle most of the like sourcing the beans and roasting and all that for you.
Correct. So
cool. Okay.
They come from, Central and South America primarily.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to know that you have to focus on what you're good at. Like, you run a company, you have a brand to maintain and an image and a mission statement. You can't be worried about where the frickin' beans are coming from, So
Correct.
You have someone to do that. But I guess what I was just thinking, like, I love coffee, and we're drinking, your fourth quarter roast right now, and I'm just thinking, like, man, like, I would just like think about the whole, because I think about the juice process, right? And I'm thinking about the coffee process, and I'm thinking like the beans were grown here, then they were shipped, and then they were roasted, and they were grinded, and then they were packaged, and then they were shipped. And I'm like, damn, that's a lot, like logistically, for someone to run that type of operation is challenging.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not, it's certainly not easy. I mean, we run the website with a particular, type of specific programming.
Which looks friggin' awesome, by the way, too.
Well, thank you. We want to, we always adding stuff. There was something that I absolutely was 100% against. And we're going to end up having to add it, which I'm just like, ugh. But our customers have requested it. And so, at the end of the day, if your customers request it, once you do your due diligence and enough of people, would buy it, you're like, I got to add it, because it's going to sell. And so we're going to be upgrading the website here shortly and adding a new feature, like some of the others. And, but you have to adapt, just because something that I believe in and say, well, we're not going to do it. The customers come and they make a good enough play at you and say, no, we really want this. then you have to adapt.
What is it that you want to do? Do you not want to put it out there? It's okay if you don't.
Well, we're gonna be ending up adding a coffee club.
Like a monthly subscription?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was 100% against that. I mean, man, you could not. And even now, I'm still like, ugh. But customers want it. And
I feel like from a business standpoint too, a lot of people say that that's where you can like count on your money. Like, oh, I know that I have this amount of money coming in on a recurring payment system, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know about how it works with like shipping products and all that stuff, but a few people have been like, yeah, that's like recurring revenue is a good thing.
It is. But here's the problem is that let's say that Bill and Joanne, you know, they love the mission and, you know, they want to sign up for the coffee club. And so they're going to, you know, spend $40 a month. Well, now it's Christmas time and, you know, they're like everyone, man, they're scratching to get as much money for their 2 kids to get, you know, as many presents. And now all of a sudden their account, it's at like $10. And here comes Tattered Beans, $40 payment ripping out of their account. And all of a sudden they get a $35 fee. And now they just paid $75 for the coffee. Well, who feels like a jerk off? I do, you know, because, you know, I don't want that to happen to them. You know, I would rather, you know, be like, hey, you know, let's just send an email to remind people to buy the coffee. And the problem is that doesn't work in our mind that way because it's, you know, out of sight, out of mind. So some people might not open it. And, you know, so I get it. And the customer feedback is like, we don't want to think about it. We just want our coffee delivered. And I get that. But for the customers who are living check to check, I don't want to be that company that sucks that freaking $40 out or $20 out that overdraws their account. And then I feel like a piece of crap. Because that's not my style as a person and as a business person, you know, because listen, if, you know, I'm a complete capitalist, you know, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think people should be able to make as much money as they want, but, you know, I live a extremely modest lifestyle comparative to a lot of people. And I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that. I have the capability to help someone start their own business. And if that totally tanks and I lose $100,000, like, okay, I lost $100,000, you know? So I think different, you know? So for me, I'm thinking for the, you know, the next person and watching their bank account. And I don't want to be the company that freaking, you know, charges them or gets them charged a $35 overdraft fee or something.
Right. Well, what you could do, I mean, also is if they're on a monthly subscription, like you were saying with the email, you could send an email like, you know, have like a recurring email, but it goes out maybe 2 months before December and just say, hey, look, Christmas is coming up. Just wanted to you know, remind you guys and kind of giving you guys a heads up, basically.
Yeah. See, that's what I would do is I'd literally just turn off everyone's delivery for January. Right. Like, okay, everybody, we know everyone goes tight for Christmas, so everyone's subscription's turned off. You have to turn it back on manually.
So you have Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I just don't want people to, you know, listen, I love my company and I want to make as much money as possible for the vets, but I just don't want to be that guy that's, you know, that hurt somebody, that pissed somebody off because, you know, oh my God, freaking Tattered Beans, my freaking overdrew my account. I don't want to be that, you know, that company that does that to somebody.
Totally makes sense. It makes sense, you know, and in today's day and age, every penny counts, and there's so many freaking. You got Netflix, you got all this shit,
Spotify,
that's automatically coming out of your account. Yeah, so I totally get that, and from a business standpoint, you know, you want your consumers to come to you,
right,
and you want to have interactions with them, and you want them to seek out the product instead of it just, you know, just charging them and it's showing up and it's like a meaningless transaction. So I definitely understand both sides of it. You have a goal at the end of the bio here. It's a dollar amount that you're hoping to contribute towards this, towards, you know, veterans in general for this year. Tell me your mindset and
Yeah.
thought process on goals. Why is it important for you to have a goal like that? And are you on track to hit it?
So I've always set micro goals before my main. So I've got my main goal. Like my main goal, I wanted to be a millionaire by the time I was 30. So I knew that in order to do that, I had to achieve all these smaller goals ahead of it. So it was going from residential construction to commercial construction and land development. And so I accomplished those micro goals to be able to hit my overall goal of, being a millionaire by the time I was 30. I was about 4 months into my 30th birthday. And then from there, I always just set more micro goals in life. And so my overall goal here, we're about, because of the cancer, we were about 3 months behind. We really should have launched in October of 18, but we didn't launch until I think it was December 28th. Because it was just, with my illness and surgeries and stuff like that. But my goal for 2019 is to sell 1 million bags of coffee. And that translates to me giving back 4 million to vets.
That's a lot.
It's a hell of a lot.
I love it, dude. Well, we're 3 months into the year, one quarter. One quarter done. Where you at?
We're about 0.001%.
Well, you guys just launched too, right?
We did. We just launched. Listen, and that's a funny thing is a lot of people have been breaking my balls about it. I'm just like, listen, I'm going to reach my goal. In 2019, I will reach the goal. It's a lot, but we are selling more bags every single day that we turn on the computers. There's more and more sales there. And there's more sales today than there were yesterday. And there will be more sales tomorrow. So eventually it will just constantly, you guys know, you've seen it. 2's going to turn into 4, 4,
right.
16, and it's going to constantly keep growing. And that's the coolest part, because when people look at this as a mission, please, I want to ask you guys a question. So when you guys go to, like, we have, CVS now, Kmart, Walmart, the grocery stores, when you guys are checking out, every single place now asks, do you want to donate $1 to something, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, just about.
Yep. Can I ask you now this question? Do you guys just automatically just donate, or do you guys say no? And here's the important question. If that person said, would you like to donate $1 to, St. Jude's, and here's a lollipop for donating $1, would getting that lollipop get you to donate that $1 any different comparatively?
Not for me. So for me, I always ask how much of that $1 is actually going to the place.
Damn, that's a solid question, bro.
Well, usually they don't know, or they'll give me like the little pamphlet so I can like read. I don't know. So for me, the lollipop wouldn't affect me if the cause was getting all the money or a good portion of it.
Jesse, what about you? Do you donate when they ask you at the cashier?
A lollipop would not make a difference, but I do sometimes, and I do not other times. I don't know.
Just when you're
How does it? What dictates you donating or not donating?
I don't know. It's just kind of random. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I'm like,
just
no,
when you're
not
feeling
today.
generous.
Yeah. I think for me, it's partly what it's going to, and I understand you're saying. So your thought process with the lollipop is, if you're donating something and people are getting something in return, they're more likely to donate. Okay. Yeah. And I think that if someone asked me to do a survey on like their product or something like that, and they offer me a gift card, it definitely makes me more likely to do the survey. I feel like donating is a little bit different, but I definitely understand that. Yeah, and it is becoming more common now that I think about it and that you mention it. It's like every time I check out, it's like sometimes I get it like the same question in like 2 or 3 times in the same day, depending upon how many stores I go to.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I also
here's-
think the cause for me is like, where is it going?
That's what I was going to say, is that we have become so numb to everyone asking for money that we, a lot of the times just say no. So here I come and I have to re-educate everybody and say, listen, we're giving what your donation is directly to a person. Like, it's not coming, it's not having to trickle down. We are saying this amount of money goes directly to Johnny because you bought coffee under Johnny. And so people tend to relearn the scenario in that, oh, well, I'm actually getting a product and a major portion of my purchase is physically going to the person that I wanted it to go to. And that's why our sales are constantly more today from yesterday, more tomorrow than today. And, will I reach my 1 million bag goal? Hell yeah, I will, because I'm going to work tirelessly to make sure it happens.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, and that's solid. And I think another important thing, especially in today's world as well, is a lot of people are actually seeking out companies and brands that are giving back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have definitely seen more people reach out to us now that want to do events with us.
Yeah.
Asking where we're going to be and can we partner up at that event because they believe our mission. And listen, guys, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of amazing nonprofits out there. There really are. It's just that I just have a different business mentality.
Yeah. Certainly
because of my age comparative to some other companies and what their CEOs' age are. And I mean, my kids are grown, and a lot of these young CEOs are just now having kids.
Right.
And I'm going to be brutally honest. When I was their age, I had the 5,000 square foot house. I had the 4 cars. I had the boat, the 2 jet skis, the 4-wheelers, the motorcycles. I was that, mentality. And, I will say that fatherhood and your kids growing up and making sure that you don't miss a field hockey game or a singing recital quickly took over comparative to adding another 0 to the end of the 7 that I already made. So I would schedule my cafes that they shut down at 3. Why? And people are like, why you shut down at 3? I'm like, because school's getting out. We have single mothers, so they're getting their kids. And I said, I don't want to miss one of my kids' freaking field hockey games. So I said, if there's something to go, squirrely at the shop where I have to go work, like I want to be out of there. It after certainly the workforce has changed, so, we always knew it to be harder to get more people later at night. People would call off more later at night because they want to go out or whatever. So I eliminated a lot of those problems and a lot of those headaches, but I mostly just modified my lifestyle so that I could still live comfortably, be happy, and still provide for my kids and my wife and the employees and things, and do the things that I wanted to give back or start a new business. So it's just all different mentality for different people.
So what do you think, we were just kind of, Christian was showing me the Instagram page for your coffee company. And what do you think helps a brand stand out? What do you, because there's just so many companies out there, and, it's hard for small businesses and, to get exposure, and like, what do you think makes small businesses or a brand stand out? And what have you done to help build your brand around yourself that, helps you stand out and be successful?
Well, it ain't going to be TNA. I won't go through that. I think because mine has a different mission, I don't think TNA would sell my product very well. So we'll always keep it on a different level there. But certainly now, you're looking for that next viral video. So, people love that shit. So, the crazier you can be, you get that one viral video, boom, man, that could be the thing. So for me, I make fun of myself. I'm serious when I need to be. I'm sitting in, $250 million meetings, for building properties around the world, 1 hour. And then, I'm making funny videos of myself for something different, the next hour, so I know when I need to polish myself for each situation, and I know when I can loosen up and have fun for different companies. And so I take myself serious when I need to, and I can make fun of myself when I need to.
Right.
And I think for some companies, man, I'm gonna be brutally honest, man, because I've owned a lot of companies, and the internet is unforgiving, guys. It is unforgiving, and so I had multiple businesses where my kids growing up took chops on the chin, because dad owned this or dad owned that. And, now at 19 and 22, I'm the cool dad, but, back then, parents can be brutal.
Yeah.
And, so it's certainly opened up my eyes on how I continually run more companies now. But, you guys know, like, you got to have that viral video. So if you're doing something crazier than the next guy, whew,
just more eyes.
That's the thing. That's interesting, because I don't know if you tell from just talking to us from 45 minutes or an hour, is that like I definitely have an outlandish, like, outgoing personality. I have no problem talking to strangers, and I have like a good sense of humor. But sometimes I don't know in business where the line needs to be drawn. Like, I don't act the way in front of like customers and people that I act in front of like Christian and Jesse. If I did, then like I don't know if they would come back.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
man, I did.
You did? Okay.
Oh,
So and then I guess that transitions into my next question, was like, how important do you think it is to your face and your personality be perfectly lining up with your company's image? And like, when people look at like Tattered Beans is a new company. Let's something else, like a cafe or a restaurant or something that you owned. Like, when they thought of the restaurant and you, like, did they think of you and the restaurant as one? Like, I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Absolutely. So I'm a firm believer now that brands are the individuals that own the brands. So
Yes, that's kind of the question, I guess.
yes. So brands aren't necessarily the t-shirt anymore. It's the guy behind the t-shirt. People want to get to know the owners.
Right.
And now the platforms allow that to happen. So
You mean social media platforms?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I should have said that. So people want to know the owner behind the brand. They want to feel like they're, they have that personal relationship with them because they're watching their personal stories and they're following them and this and that. And that's why, like, on my Instagram, I follow people that follow me. As long I go and I look at their profile, and as long as they're not complete jerk offs, like, I refollow them, and I'll like their comment, like I'll like their picture and stuff like that. And I will get so many DMs. They're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that you liked my stuff." And I'm like, why wouldn't I? I liked your picture. Like, you got a cool looking dog, or like, I liked your motorcycle. I mean, like, I look at my people's stuff, where a lot of people on Instagram and stuff like that, they're like, I don't even run my page.
Right. Right.
Oh, really? Like, you're that cool?
You're that big?
So, yeah, right. So for me, I take a different approach, and I am definitely right hand of the guy upstairs, man. I was the person. I would come out and I would slap a customer on the back. I'm like, "Yo, what the hell is up? What's going on?" I would completely break their balls, or I knew who I could swear with, and I knew what lady I couldn't. So I've always just been me, and people would always say that's the one thing that they always like, because I was always genuine. And let me tell you, I had my Italian restaurant. I had a customer made one of my and I'm a fairly big guy. Had one of my waitresses cry, because they put the wrong spaghetti sauce on his spaghetti, and I guess he was just total dick to her. So I went out and I literally just took this plate off the table. I was like, "Get out of my restaurant!" And like, he looked at me and he's like, "What?" And I looked right back at him. I said, "You know what sucks for you?" I said, "You're not gonna have the best meal that you would have ever had in your life, because you just made someone cry over a stupid plate of spaghetti." And I said, "If you would have been nice, I would have gave your whole freaking table a meal for free." And I said, "Now your friends can't even freaking enjoy a great place." I said, "Because you're being a dick. Now get out."
Wow.
And guess what?
Fuck him.
They apologized and they came back, and they were one of our most loyal customers.
Wow.
That's like the total opposite thing that you think would happen. Like, you would think that they would leave and immediately go to Yelp and write you a bad review. Because that's just what people do.
Right.
And you're right. The internet is forgiving, and it's hard to maintain a good, presence, I guess you could say. Because that's what everyone does. When people are looking for places to go or places to eat, or, they look it up online. It's the first thing they do.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I always taught my employees, I said, listen, you need, especially the waiters and the waitresses in the kitchen and everybody, I said, listen, here's the deal. You have to realize that those people are decided to come to our restaurant and spend their hard-earned money. I said, so please respect that. So, because you expect when you go out to eat that you made $200 this week, and that dinner you're going to go out and is going to cost you $60. So you don't want a shitty time. I said, so don't give these guys a shitty time. And I said, if you go through that with that attitude, I said, man, customers are going to freaking love you. And I had the greatest staff. So that guy was just a shit. And the thing is that he was a little older, a little bigger, and I think no one ever stood up to him. And so me being bigger, I stood up to him. And, for him to come back and apologize, and then, like I said, become one of our best customers, he gained the respect from me for apologizing. And, I gained respect for him for apologizing. He gained respect for me for sticking up for what, and calling him out for being who he was. Now, don't get me wrong, man, that might not work for everybody. You're right. More likely 9 out of 10 times you're going to get a Yelp review. But even on those reviews, man, I would go back on and if I would ask the GM, hey, what happened with this sandwich, or what happened with this smoothie, or what happened with this? And if they were honest with me and say, yeah, that was completely our mistake, because I would automatically say is like, just give them a free meal. Don't even fight with them. Just give them a free meal. That $6 is not worth the bad review or a pissed off customer. Right. Just apologize, swallow your pride, and just give them whatever they want. And so I knew that my people were trained that way, almost like a Chick-fil-A, and smile and be happy. But so I knew that if a customer was really bashing us, 9 out of 10 times it was a customer just being a jerk. So I would be like, well, no, we were giving you a free meal, so I don't know why you're writing this review. And it would be funny because other people would comment after and be like, oh, we know him. Like, that's just what he does, or something like that,
That's crazy. And I love how you talked about the employees and you kind of train them on how to treat people and all that stuff. It's so important. And like the craziest part about that is like some people don't might not realize it in the front end of the conversation, but that's going to help them as employees make more money and get ahead faster. So like, you're not only learning how to interact with people, but you're going to make more money at the end. And I always joke with my employees. I got this young guy. He just turned 18, so he's like a senior in high school. And I'm like, dude, with all the experience I have and everything that I'm fucking teaching you, you should be paying me to work here. But it's so true. You know, you got to be knowledgeable about what you're doing, care about people, and be honest and genuine, and you're gonna get it all back in return.
You get really far. You really do. You really do.
And you're right. You are a big guy. And Jesse wanted to know how much you bench press. Are you in that 405 club?
Yes, I have done over 400. I used to leg press back in the day, 1200.
Woo!
Used to squat over 5.
We know why the guy at the restaurant didn't want to stand up to you. Then he would have freaking squashed him like a bug.
Well, my wife always said that I have this look in my eye. You know, if you get that look, you're like, ooh, yeah, he's serious. Yeah. So I think that night I just happened to have that look. And listen, it catches a lot of people off guard too when you just rip their plate off their table. It's like, fucking get in this plate now. Get the fuck out of my restaurant.
So awesome. All right, so we're going to get ready to wind it down here. We appreciate you taking the time again. And tell everyone if they want to reach out to you, where they can get a hold of you, how they can find you. Let the people know.
So listen, the big thing is vets and active duty and first responders. This is a great opportunity for you guys as a secondary business, earn a little bit of money, put in your pocket. Maybe it's that, take your wife out for a special night. Maybe it's those extra Christmas presents. Maybe it's that baseball bat or that cheerleading trip that you need to take for your daughter. Tattered Beans does that for you. You know, you sign up, you get your own personalized link, and then you can put that wherever you want. You can sell commercially. We work with these guys and these men and women to get their own commercial accounts. We help them do that. So we're making entrepreneurs out of everybody that signs up on our website. And that's at tatteredbeans.com if you want to buy the coffee. And again, it's submit.tatteredbeans.com for the vets, active duty, and first responders.
Awesome. And if people want to reach out to you, just do it through the contact page on the website?
If you want to reach me personally, you can go to my personal page, which is Jake Gene Official on Instagram. I actually answer my DMs. I get a few hundred a day. And, much like you guys probably do too. I get the ones that are like, oh, come over to my private page and pay for my nude photos.
Oh, yeah.
So I lead through those. I have probably a good 50, 60 that I truly answer back and have conversations with people, which they seem to really like. I get all kinds of questions. And I'm a very, brutally honest guy. Like, if you ask me a question, I'm going to give you the truth. So that's fun. So that's it. Jake Gene Official on Instagram. Our Instagram for Tattered Beans is just Tattered Beans. And we're on Twitter at Tattered Beans. And Facebook at Tattered Beans.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And again, we're going to put all the links in the show notes. And this will be on our website, which is theeverydayhustleshow.com. So Tattered Beans will have a backlink on our website. And we'll get that up for you here shortly. The episode will be live Sunday night at 6 p.m. Every Sunday, 6 p.m. we drop new episodes. So this episode will be live Sunday, 6 p.m., which will be March 29th. But this episode is brought to you by D Squared Media, who redid our website and is gracious enough to help us along with branding the podcast and branding my small business as well. You could reach out to them at dsquaredmedia.net for any business branding, logo design, web design, if you need print work, t-shirts, literally whatever it is that you got going on that you need help with, they can help you. Anyone who reaches out to them through the podcast with the code EDH is going to receive 10% off of their bill for any services rendered.
It's a lot.
Crazy, right, Jess? All right. So subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating if you haven't already. We appreciate all the feedback. Jason, we appreciate you taking the time to spend with us and talk with us about your your journey on this God's green earth so far, and we'll see you. Yeah. Thanks, man, and thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next week.
Don't die.